Welcome back to Crashing Out with DeFranco and Alex Pearlman. And on today's show, we analyzed and discussed last night's election results from across the United States. Though I'll also warn you, I think what happened last night forever changed Alex's brain chemistry.
No, you need to understand, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Phil?
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Woke is back. Woke?
Is that the lesson?
DEI never dies, okay? We've never been more back. It was a blue bloodbath last night across this entire nation, and by entire nation, I mean 6 states? But that's enough. That's enough, baby. 365 days ago, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I just started puking and shitting everywhere. Here I am a year later, and I'm Dick Cheney's dead. I'm alive. There's a lot happening. I feel great. I've never felt, my skin is better. I need you to know, I even set up a button just for today, Phil. Because this is how we feel today, okay? It's a good day. We're going to do analysis. We're going to talk a lot about what happened with the election. All these. Can I just tell you right now, it's a vibe, bud. And it's a good vibe. And is it going to last? Fuck no. No, Trump's still president. The economy is shut down. The fucking I just looked. My healthcare cost is up 21% because the new marketplace just came in. Vivek Ramaswamy's posted on Facebook. There's a lot that's happening. But at the end of the day, right now, right in this fucking moment, the Dems swept every fucking election at rates not seen since Lyndon Johnson. And I just want to sit back. It's Victory Wednesday. Go Birds. We're in a good mood, all right? If I was in Philadelphia, I'd be on Broad Street, I'd be greasing the poles and literally eating horse shit. That's an actual thing Philadelphians do when we're happy. Maybe I'd fight a cop. I don't know. There's a lot that could be happening here. You're being hit with references that you have no context for. Do you not know?
Did you not know? No, I don't know. I came in this morning going like, I'm kind of in a good mood. I'm reporting live from Georgia. Meanwhile, you're like,
no, I'm out here
cracked out, and I love seeing it.
No, listen, I am here right now, and I'm here to tell people I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of DMs from a lot of people from all over the country. Very sad. Everybody's been having a bad time for a very long time. Every day you open up your phone and a new piece of the White House is missing. A new Epstein file is being hidden. A new industry is firing tens of thousands of people. And so yesterday, I woke up and Dick Cheney was dead. And then I went to my polling place, right? And I go to my polling place, and all day I'm greeting voters. And every single person's like, okay, we're excited. We're happy. I'm like, where the fuck were you last year? And I go, I feel pretty good. I'm optimistic about it. I'm texting my friends back in New York. And I'm like, how are you feeling? They're like, I'm feeling pretty good. By the end of the night, Phil, I was Venmoing hundreds of dollars to people in New York, and I was like, just get out there and touch people because you need human interaction. And this is just, it's a different vibe. Because we didn't get that in 2020. In 2020, when Joe Biden stole that election rightfully from Donald Trump, our Lord and Savior, we all weren't allowed to touch each other. We had 6 feet. We had to be apart, right? So when Joe Biden won in November of 2020, what happened? We could honk our horns. We could maybe hold up a big sign. You could bang pots, but nobody was fucking. Last night, how many Mamdani babies just got born? Okay? This is the analysis people come to Crashing Out for. We got Mamdani babies in the streets, and he's going to give people baby boxes, okay? New Jersey. New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill came in. She kicked the shit out of Jack Citarelli. This is a three-peat loser, that guy is. This third time he's fucking lost this thing. Virginia, they got a CIA agent as their fucking governor. Let's go. The CIA now runs Northern Virginia. Everybody's shocked. Georgia, 60%? 60% in a statewide race? That hasn't been heard of since the Civil Rights Act passed. That's fucking nuts. Mississippi, they broke the supermajority. And here in Pennsylvania, we kept our fucking state senate. Phil, you need to be smiling bigger, bud. You need to meet America in the moment. And right now, that moment is woke.
Jesus Christ.
Eat shit, Stephen A. Smith. That's how you monologue.
You know what? I'm with it. I'm gonna fuck you, Stephen A. Smith, for that, and also probably other reasons that I don't remember in this moment.
I don't know. I just wanted to come in hot, baby, because I couldn't sleep last night. Do you have any idea how many pills I had to take to go down? I was cutting monologues in my basement. I was doing a whole thing. It's just a good day. It was a good.
I could just see you walking in a circle saying it. No, not mean enough, not crazy enough. I was loving it
enough.
And then I was like, oh God, if this podcast was bigger, you're getting clipped to hell, and it's gonna sound like you were paying off people to vote in New York. you were like committing election fraud.
Polls were closed. They're not going to clip me the way that they clipped people. I saw what they tried to do to David Hogg. I saw what they're trying to do to David Hogg on Twitter. The only nervousness I had yesterday was around 6:30 p.m. I opened up Twitter, and Elon turned the psycho gun on, and he was amplifying every Jack Posobiec, whatever the fuck his name is,
yes,
and wokeness, all these different things. They were like, the voting machines are shut down in Pennsylvania. I'm like, we don't use voting machines in every fucking place. It's not like I have a sheet with a little bubble on it. I got a sheet of paper. You can't shut that down. They were screaming all sorts of crazy shit everywhere. They were trying to claim because they were hoping it was going to be razor thin margins in a lot of these. And what the fuck happened? It was a blowout. It was a blowout so big it took out Dick Cheney's heart. It was so fucking good. He killed millions. I just want to point that out. He killed millions of people.
What would you make of the Mamdani hearing about Dick Cheney dying while he was at the polling place? What was your take? He was like,
that's a generational politician. That was my take. That was a generational. I'm sorry. What was that? Okay, I'm just gonna go turn to this person over here. That was the greatest move.
Yeah, that's our. I'm hearing about this for the first time. Like that's.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lib meme. That'll be a lib meme.
People are already screenshotting his wife because she hid her facial reaction a little bit less. Yeah. God, man, I'm looking forward, going like, what's about to happen? Because it's like I'm so glad that you're enjoying this moment because I've been so like primed to be like, and when's the ground falling out?
That was 6:30. I'm telling you, 6:30 for me yesterday. I was like, they're gonna coup. There's a coup coming. That was my feeling at 6:30. But the numbers are too big. The joy is too much, and this is where the nervous is. Like in 2020, it was close. There were things that were different. There was extra circumstances that would give you a feeling about this different stuff. Mm-hmm. The blowout, the one area in Pennsylvania, we had this judge's retention vote. Here, where we had 3 Supreme Court justices that were up. We had one county, Chester County here. They fucked up their voter rolls. It actually basically cost a half a day of voting. Some people had to use a provisional ballot, blah, blah, blah. But inside of that, they extended polling hours. And I saw guys like Scott Pressler, who is a big ground game Republican guy, and other people being like, Chester County, this is where we got to go. And these are all these different things. And I'm looking at this. And then I was nervous because I was like, oh, this could become a flashpoint place, which we've seen in the past. Mm-hmm. But by, I think it was like 9:30, I was like texting a buddy of mine who like is a poll guy who like looks at numbers as they come in and everything. And he was like, this is a fucking blowout, baby. We got 75%. Because like the numbers they were throwing out there. They're like, oh, this might affect 75,000 independents in Chester County. They won by like 250,000 votes. The margins are so wide that you can't even make up, even in the idea of, isn't that strange? That's the joy that I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I keep thinking, my brain bounces back and forth to just things that I was interested by and then enjoyed. Bill Ackman losing his goddamn mind on X was wild. And then him putting out the shortest tweet I think he's ever posted after Mamdani won. He's like, I'm here.
I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help. All these guys, all these billionaires spent more money than they'd ever be taxed. That was the number one thing that keeps driving me insane. It drives me so fucking like that, because that was what Mamdani said on Andrew Schultz's show. He's like, Bill Ackman's spending more money than I would have even increased if I could increase. Like these. Yeah. They're spending. I keep thinking back to Elon in 2024. Elon spent $250 million. It was like $276 million to get Trump elected. We are doing an episode this week on Too Many Tabs about Tim Mellon. He's spent, in some estimates, they believe he spent $500 million on getting Republicans elected. If this is about taxes, he's worth about $1 billion. He has spent 50% of his net income, his net worth, on electing Republicans. He is taxing himself at 50%. The rate is nowhere near that high. So it's this money thing. It's poisoning the system. And I think after, especially last year's election, there was so much fear around this one of what's this going to look like. So the fact that it's a sweep, that's nuts, Phil. I was convinced at least one of them was going to go sideways.
Well, yeah, there was a question of like, do Dems have any juice? Is there resistance? Obviously, you have to, keep in mind it is an election. It's going against the party that has power everywhere. But it was good to see. New York seems to be going crazy. And I mean, what are we going to do in New York? There's going to be, 1 million people are going to leave, I think, as I saw a tweet.
Hey,
there's 1 million people leaving the city.
I might go move there now. I heard the rents are coming down. Listen, first thing, nobody's going to leave. If anything, that actually might go the opposite direction is because now you're creating havens for people. If you look at areas we've had an influx of trans people into the Philadelphia region, especially from Texas and Florida. I've personally helped raise funds for people to get out of the situations down there because they've been targeted by laws. We're going to see that happen across this country as the balkanization has been slowly kind of coming in. And, the old idea is that we have 50 states or 50 laboratories, and inside those 50 laboratories, we can try different laws and we can live kind of different economies. People are going to look to New York, and they're going to look specifically to Mamdani because Mamdani is really, really good at social media. He's really when there has been a lot of comparisons for him for other different generational talents. And I do believe that when it comes to at least electorally, he is a generational talent. We will all find out over the next 4 years of what promises he can keep up with and how well he can deal with a hostile media. Because clearly,
here's the hard part.
Yeah, legacy media, the billionaires who control many of the algorithms are very against him. However, he has been able to tap into people. I'm down here in Philly. I hate New York. I fucking hate New York. I don't like going to New York. I don't like being in New York.
What?
Listen, I like where I'm at.
I mean,
okay?
Fuck you a little bit for that.
No, I'm being honest. And people like this about me. But I like every podcast, I'm just going to pick a different state. And by the
Apparently,
end,
you were like, I'm done with Maine. Fuck New York. And I'm like, what?
But I'm happy as hell for him. And for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, I've spent this entire election for the Mamdani election looking at it with hope, looking at it and being jealous. Look at the best bunch of mayors they had, right? They had Bloomberg for what was that, like 13 years of Bloomberg. Before that, it was Giuliani. They had Bill de Blasio, which just is annoying to say. And then they've had Adams, which is just he's a cartoon character from Gotham City. And now they got Mamdani. And so, when I see Mamdani and I see my friends and the content creators, the influencers I've gotten to know over the last few years and all this different stuff, when I saw them, so many of them put their heart and souls into the campaign, and it was such a long shot. I mean, he started at 1%, and he beat Cuomo. And when he was doing that, what he spoke to, the idea of speaking to the better angels. A lot of people talk about how he spoke to affordability, but he also just spoke about a love of community and a love of New York. And he spoke about New York in a way that the way my wife and I talk about Philly. The way we talk about the history of Philadelphia, the way we talk about the history of and the neighborhoods we're from and the communities we're from. I mean, the thing about Mamdani is he's young, he's vibrant, and you feel like he's at least going to do something. And that's not something I can say branding-wise for a lot of other mayors and leaders across the country right now.
I mean, are you ready for him to be blamed for every single thing
that
happens, and for every single thing to be presented as 10 times as what it was?
Yeah, I lived through the Biden years. I like that's kind of this is the play. So I'm ready for that. I think he's ready for that. AOC is ready for that because it's the same thing has happened to her. Nancy Pelosi isn't because she's retiring. Hey-o! That's just, we're just happy to see. Goodbye, Nancy. In general, though,
she's going all in on trading.
She is.
That's the pivot.
Yeah.
She's like, I got the capital that I've been working for.
Yeah.
Now it's time.
Yeah, she's sitting back and she's like, my next move, I'm gonna buy Union Carbide. She in general though, the one thing I was talking about earlier today with somebody, I think the one thing Mamdani has though is that Mamdani can blame everything on Trump back. And people will believe him because Trump is dumb enough for some of the things that he did running into this, right? Trump stood there and said, if Mamdani gets elected, I'm not going to send money that is appropriated to New York. Okay, so if things get worse in New York, that's Trump. And enough people will be able to point at that over and over and over again because Trump can't shut the fuck up. The China's doing so much better right now because all they've done for the last year has just stand still. It's that Luigi meme of fucking Mario Party. They're standing on the ball. Trump's flailing around. He goes off the edge.
Yeah. You know, that's a really good point because I think a lot of this just comes down to PR. Mamdani is a great speaker. He gets his message out. His team's really good around him. And I wonder if Trump's so focused on making him like the face of the Dem party, if, you know, he gets the treatment that like Gavin Newsom has kind of wished that he would get, in the sense of like really coming at him, like really trying to crack down outside of being like new scum.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, like I was saying, now is the hard part of actually being in the position, getting blamed or being able to deflect the blame, and what change you'll be able to do with the people there. Whether it be Hochul or, you know, something more local.
Yeah, no, and he's got the backing of Hochul, which I want to say is typically even not that great. But when I was at the DNC, when Hochul got up, I watched the entire arena look at their phone. She is not a magnanimous speaker in the way that Mamdani is. But the other thing actually that Mamdani has that is actually a saving grace for him is the fact that he is a naturalized U.S. citizen. So he can never run for president. You have to be born in the United States. You have to be a born citizen, as in the Constitution. You have to be a born citizen to become the president of the United States. And that moment alone puts a ceiling for him, which is actually going to help him. We've seen somebody like AOC, who also is a great talent, who is really good at social media. When you look at a lot of the governors, especially for the Dems, and the same thing happens for Republicans, whenever there's somebody who is a flash, maybe I don't want to say flash in the pan, but they have a big moment, immediately in this country we go, oh, they're going to be president. They're going to be president. It's like, no. Just do the job you're at. Do this job. Yeah. And I think Mamdani is going to concentrate on New York, which is great. And I think we'll just see what happens. I think the big thing that we at least don't feel is, unlike an Adams or other people or like a Cuomo, we don't feel like we don't quite know what we're going to get with him coming in. We can't, if there's going to be corruption, it's not obvious. If there's going to be any of the other type of things that are out there, it's not obvious. He's a young guy. And you know what's really crazy is he's younger than us. He's younger than both of us.
But I'm at that point in my life where that's everyone. I'm like, oh, look that old guy in football. Oh my God, we're the same age. We are the same age. I'm like, why are you out there? You should be dead. I'm like, oh, that's me. You know what what last night also showed me is that our fucking standards for what we expect from politicians is just underground. Because when Cuomo is like, Mamdani won, it was his night, I was like, gracious. Like the fact that like you admitted that you lost a free and fair election, I'm like, well, at least he did that. At least.
Can I tell you, that was one of the ones somebody pointed out to me. I don't know, and I really think about it. I don't know if Cuomo knows what campaign he ran. Because,
what do you mean?
Because like some of the shit that Cuomo's people were putting out, especially online, by the end, it was so Islamophobic. It was so pointed and crazy. It was so, they were calling him every fucking name under the sun. They were saying they were going to flee the city. There was, the firstborn of every child is going to die. Like, there's just crazy shit. They were invoking 9/11 every moment. And then he wins. 3 minutes later, he's like, okay, good job. Good game. Like, fuck you. Did you not know? Like,
it wasn't him. He accidentally signed up for a ChatGPT agent that got a little crazy.
That AI'd him as a taxi driver and as a worker. Like, I mean,
Cuomo doesn't know computer. Okay, he gets
Cuomo
confused by computer. He let other people do computer, and computer did racism.
So much racism. And you know what? That was another thing, though, that spoke, again, to younger voters. I saw in some analysis last night about the split in New York. And it was like if you were over 45, you broke mostly Cuomo. And if you're under 45, you broke mostly Mamdani. And that is a big part of it. But the biggest thing is the fact that Sliwa, at the end of the day, was not even a fucking factor. That's the part that nobody keeps talking about. And I saw Cuomo people trying to blame Sliwa for being a spoiler in a race that Cuomo was the independent in. Like, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, all the Sliwa reactions, though, they bring me joy because it makes me feel like I'm around family. Like, it's just a lot of it's like really angry Italians that are like, fuck you, Sliwa! I'm gonna kick you out of the fucking city. I'm gonna break your kneecap, Sliwa. And I'm just like, oh man, I gotta go back to New York, visit my fam.
That's where you need to go. You need to go back over there. The part that gets me is when I saw them freaking out about it. I felt so crazy because did you see the interview with Sliwa a bit ago when he was talking about, like, Bill Ackman said that Sliwa should drop out, and he was like, I won my primary. If Cuomo didn't win his, what the fuck you telling me? I gotta drop out. Like, it was such a point. Like, Curtis Sliwa is a classic New York City nut. Listen, he's got a lot of problems. He's assaulted a lot of people. He should not be mayor. A lot of that is there's so many things because he is old and charming and now doesn't seem threatening. There's a lot of things that people kind of brush under the rug for Sliwa when comparing him to, especially to Cuomo. But in the history of New York, there's a lot of violence there. There's a lot of other crazy things that happen through some wild times. And looking at him now, it's just there was a moment where you're just like, oh, he does kind of remind you of just like a very classic New York nutty character. Who's that guy wearing the beret? That's Curtis. Don't mind him. He's all right at the end of the day. He loves cats. Like, okay, that's New York. I'm walking here. That's very New York.
It's amazing what you can what kind of gets overlooked if you meme well or get memed well, where it was just like with him talking about getting shot, like the fact that SNL's doing a skit on that. I once a day while Mamdani's been in the news have just thought, don't go glazing me, Zohran. Like, it sticks in my head. And I'm like, and he did what now? What else? What's in his history?
For me, it's when he turned to Cuomo, when Sliwa turned to Cuomo, and Cuomo was like, they're lying about the sexual harassment. And Sliwa said, even the state trooper? And it was like, and that was the moment. Here's the thing is, I'm very tuned in. I'm very locked in on politics, right? I did not know that Andrew Cuomo allegedly sexually harassed a New York state trooper. He sexually harassed a cop and has been accused of that. Like, allegedly accused of. I don't know what the status of it is. But that moment of even the state trooper made me go, wait a second, I got to Google this. And I pulled out my phone. I went, even the state trooper? Like, that is just, but that's the way you cut through. I mean, there is a saying, though, and there is a danger. And we've seen this before. I mean, Trump is very similar in that sort of way. And actually, when looking at a lot of characters in politics, they come in as clowns. And you don't see any danger because they're a fucking clown. Or we think they're an idiot. And then they get into power, and then suddenly you realize, oh, my God, we gave this idiot clown a gun, and it doesn't shoot water. Like, that is a thing that has happened not only in America, but it's happened across the world. I mean, Recep Erdogan, the Turkey, he was part of a party that was considered clowns for a very long time, and the guy that was like his mentor was a constant guy who came in and would lose elections. So I mean, the version that we look at here in America would be probably the Citarelli, I think his name is, who ran New Jersey, 3-time now loser, going up against Mikey Sherrill. Maybe somebody that he mentors will come in afterwards, and in a few decades or so could come in and sweep the governorship. But you know, I think we've talked a lot about New York. I think we should look a little bit at New Jersey and Virginia, because these are the weird elections that people read a lot of tea leaves into.
Yeah, when I was looking to the election in Jersey specifically, I was like, because I'd seen some polling, and then I wanted to watch some of the clips, and when I saw Jack speak, it was like he was commenting about how people really loved when he was going to bring back plastic bags, and I was like, man, if that's when you're getting your biggest pop, I don't know if this is going your way. But here's what I'll ask you. There's a lot of people already going like, here are the lessons we're learning, and people are also saying different things, right? You have Mamdani with populism. You have kind of the other states where it's more moderate candidates. I take that very much as just these are different places with different winning factors. I do think that populism is overall winning. It's what helped Donald Trump get the White House, even though he sold people lies about populism. But what do you think that there were any lessons, or no? You are like each segment is different.
Each segment is different. Like I said before, 50 states, 50 experiments. However, there is a big major thing that is the biggest difference. Number one is, in Mamdani's case, is volunteer army. Volunteer army, volunteer army, volunteer army. And also listening to the voters and trying to give the voters what they're looking for. And I think we saw that more in a bunch of these cases. So the two videos that Mamdani did that were the most impressive to me. Number one was the video that was right after the 2024 election, when he went around and talked to Trump voters across New York. New York Trump voters, they're in electoral college. They know that their vote doesn't matter. They still voted for him. Right. And he asked them why. And he took in, and you could see him actually have conversations with these people, which is something that we've typically not seen Dems do. Democrats in general seem to want to identify their existing voters and then activate them. So in 2008, or the Obama campaign, I think I've said this on here before, but they had a list of like anyone, they could buy consumer data. Anyone who ever bought a Prius, they're going to make you vote. In 2008, if you owned a Prius, you were voting for Barack Obama. They knew that. Let's turn those people out. You know, super voters. You have these identifieds on these roles. Mamdani really was like, there's all these other different groups. In Virginia and in New Jersey, they did very similar things, which is about turning out a volunteer army is the next part of that. And that was the second part of the impressive Mamdani videos that I saw. Mamdani at one point, I think it was right after the primary, he begged people to stop giving him money. He said, stop giving me money. I don't need money. I need bodies. I need to knock doors. And if you do have money and you do want to give it to somebody, give it to somebody else on the ticket. And we saw that same sort of thing in New Jersey and Virginia. And it's easier, I think, to get a volunteer army at a state level. And because they can speak to the ideas in each of these states. And looking at, in the case of these two governor-elects, their opponents were fucking nut jobs. They just are crazy people. So there is a lot we can read into it. I also think that the Dems were more motivated. We saw now, because of things like Roe v. Wade getting overturned, because of so many different breakups in the federal government, what's happening with SNAP benefits right now, what's happening with healthcare, what's happening with so many different things that we used to think were national plans are slowly becoming state plans. And so you're going to have to, New Jersey will have a completely different economic system, possibly, than Pennsylvania. And so you're going to get people at home to just talk to their neighbors in their communities more. Going back to 2024, you're trying to do a national plan at a time when the nation felt very fractured and still does. Right. And so it's hard to sell to New Jersey. I mean, Kamala did sell to New Jersey and Virginia. Obviously, those are both blue states. But getting into the swing states of like Georgia's very different than Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's very different than Michigan. Michigan's very different than Nevada, and like what that looks like there. So I think the biggest thing is making sure that you can speak to each of these states individually and making sure you can turn out that volunteer army. Because the volunteer army is how you counteract these massive algorithms and media that's owned by billionaires.
Okay, and I'm gonna bring up this next thing at risk of being the wet blanket to your fire. So right last night, like people were going like, okay, I wonder what Donald Trump's reaction is going to be. You got Newsom throwing out WWE memes of the left putting a smackdown on the right. But now we have Trump this morning really going all in, saying that Republicans need to nuke the filibuster. And he said, quote, "If we do what I'm saying, they'll most likely never attain power, because we will have passed every single thing that you can imagine."
Okay.
So that sounds like more than shutdown stuff. It sounds like more like than legislation stuff. It sounds, I don't know. It sounds, I mean, it's Trump, so it doesn't sound great. It
is, yeah. I mean, obviously he's going to threaten everybody. They posted that picture from it was actually the Westchester Knicks G League, which is Trump is still your president.
Trump is your president, yeah.
Yeah, that image up there. And, you know, he's been literally shitting on people using AI imagery, all this different stuff. We have the parts of Congress that are still working, and there's very few parts of it, but the parts of it that are still currently working, that's what we have, and that's what it is. But that's the reason why I think it was so important for us to actually have this moment last night. If he said that in June, I'd be more worried. But he's saying this now. The thing I have to constantly remind myself about Trump is he is fundamentally a lazy man. Fundamentally lazy. I think back a lot to January 6th. January 6th was the last possible date he could dispute the election. They went all in on that date. He will always come in right at or right behind a deadline. He is never somebody who's going to bring in anything early. He's been telling us now for how many years that he's going to have a health care plan in 2 weeks. Everything is just a couple weeks away. All these different things. He can scream now about the filibuster all he wants. He was screaming that to a room full of Republicans, right? I think that was the GOP Senate that was at the White House.
I think so.
I think that's what it was.
I have to double check, but yeah.
Cool. Many of those senators, because actually a lot of the GOP senators now, there's a lot of them much younger. They're in their 50s. There's a bunch in the 50s and the 60s. They tend to be in office for the next 6 to 12, maybe even 18 to 24 years. Donald Trump is 79. That's the thing this is the math they're doing. And they're looking at Donald Trump saying we need to end the filibuster and we need to do all this crazy shit. And then they're looking over at J.D. Vance, whose brother got his ass whooped in Cincinnati last night. I think it was 80 to 20%. And this is J.D. Vance's home state. He got the endorsement of J.D. Vance, and then it didn't give him anything. If anything, it actually hurt him. So they're looking around at the branding and everything like that. So I think that until Trump puts on a cloak and yells, "The Republic is now a grand empire," and starts shooting lightning from his fingertips, I'm just going to just vibe with the day. And I'm just going to remind myself that Dick Cheney is dead.
I love that for you. That'll never not get old. I'm with you on some of it. I think that Trump is personally lazy. Yeah. But I do not think that the machine that carried his body across the finish line is this go around. I mean, how many conversations do we have where we're like, I just didn't expect the fascism this fast, right? So there's a lot happening.
I thought it was going to be faster. I thought it was
really
going to be fast. I actually thought it was going to be. Listen, I had a bit. We're far enough.
Are you
away
doing
from
that
now.
thing? You're like, that's a tall building. It's not that tall.
No. I actually was. I didn't want to be in the United States on Inauguration Day. I was terrified he was going to black bag Nancy Pelosi on the Capitol steps.
Oh, just day one.
I thought it was literally he's going to be like, he's going to walk up and be like, I don't need the Bible. And then big Trump banners were going to drop from the Capitol and they were going to march Nancy Pelosi out. And he'd be like, under new law, you're done. And then they were going to throw her off a pit like Sparta style. There's the one thing. There's the one good thing about being a pessimist. You are often surprised, happily surprised about things. I'm often being like, nice. Okay. He didn't know. He didn't see the big red I can kill everyone button. Great.
It didn't go Thunderdome day one.
No, not day one. And I think the slow walk on it is because I think, listen, right now, I went and looked. My healthcare costs. We to do a family of three, to insure a family of three on the marketplace without subsidies. I do not have subsidies. I went from $777 a month to pay for our premium to $960. So almost $1,000. So I'm looking at the end of the year, $2,000 more in cost for just to pay my monthly insurance premium to get a $17,000 family deductible. That is tightening. The tariff issue and all the bullshit that he's done there. They've done studies now on what he did to wine in his first term. It takes about a year for tariffs to ping pong around in the economy to get to these different levels. They are seeing across the board the crazy shit he does. He walks in and he goes, "Oh no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just leave it right over there." And then it gains mold, gets up, and starts attacking people around the room. And I think the one thing I've really learned between last year and this year is you can't tell Americans what to do. You can't tell them to not do something because it's going to be bad. It just makes them want to do it more. You can't say don't vote for the giant 34 felony convicted sexual assaulting lunatic who tried to overthrow the government and watched 1 million people die on his watch while COVID ravaged the world. You can't tell them not to do that because then they go, well, I don't know, he sounds pretty cool. And now here he is, he's in. And now what most of these people are going, that guy's a fucking dickhead. I'm like, and then, what? Ugh.
Counterpoint, he went on the Nelk Boys podcast.
That's true.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't the Nelk. He didn't get the Nelk Boy bump. It was Logan Paul.
It was all Logan.
It was all Logan.
No, I just I will say I think this shows that he is scared, desperate, and that is a positive, but also potentially a negative.
Oh, it's the most dangerous he'll be.
Yeah, I think, exactly.
I think the blowout. The thing that's good is I think the blowouts on this election, like I was saying before, doesn't give them room for fraud. Because what you're talking about here, he's talking about getting rid of the filibuster. He's not sitting here and going, they did us dirty in New Jersey. We got to go in. New Jersey's always been corrupt. He's not doing that shit. He's saying we need to get rid of the filibuster. Let's go ahead. Because the one thing I have noticed, because we're having this issue in Pennsylvania, we're having this issue nationally with the shutdown. In Pennsylvania, we have a budget. Our budget was supposed to be passed in June. We're now like 4 or 5 months illegally without a passed budget. It's because the Republican Senate in Pennsylvania refuses to negotiate or do anything. The shutdown is happening. And the thing is now, and moving forward, and people need to get used to this, is the levers of power are to run out the clock. Mm-hmm. And we're in run out the clock mode. And what he's saying right now is, oh my God, the Democrats figured out they can run out the clock. We need to do everything we can do right now. Get rid of the filibuster, do these different things, push everything through, push it, build a firewall of legislation so that way they can't eventually come. And I'll pardon everyone. Because he said that too. He's just going to throw out pardon with an auto pen. But he'll do it.
But also, here's what I ask. Like, it feels like Donald Trump is, obviously it's a general election when he's running, but he does feel like he is a great mover when you compare when he is on the ballot, when he is versus when he is not. And so I'm kind of left wondering the energy that we're seeing here, the turnout that we're seeing here, how much, if at all, does it change going into the actual midterms? Like, do you have a sense of that? It's all conjecture at this point.
One sense I got when I was looking at some of the counties was 2020 to 2024 to 2025. And the turnout levels actually do this really weird dip in 2024. I think that what we're really seeing, you mentioned it before, the crew that carried him over the finish line. He didn't have Elon putting his thumb on, or the other billionaires putting their thumb on every level. One thing we talk a lot, everybody talks a lot about Elon with Twitter and changing the algorithm and boosting all these different things because we know that he does this. He's admitted that he does this even for himself. He was out there before this election claiming that Mamdani was stealing it because Andrew Cuomo was only listed on it once and had Don Jr. repeating it. He got community noted and then he deleted the community note. Like it's bullshit. He's an asshole. But Mark Zuckerberg also put his thumb on the scales during 2024. He turned off political, quote unquote, political posts. TikTok was flagging and slowing down videos that went out if you said certain keywords, election, ballot, vote. These were words that I found as a content creator in 2024 that I couldn't say. So I couldn't tell people typically to go to vote.org, make a plan. I couldn't tell people, on the ballot, make sure you turn your ballot over because the word ballot might get flagged by an AI moderator. Those weren't there this time around because it was so small. comparatively. We're talking about 7 total states. And it was very split up. And I think we're getting so geo-locked and regional when it comes to internet versus national and where those conversations are happening. So I think going into 2022, what the Dems will learn is that they need to have that ground game. They need to be able to speak to the needs, or like I hope they learn. They need to be able to speak to the needs of people on the ground and what they're looking for. And the Republican side is they need to cheat real hard. Just cheat like a motherfucker. Just cheat. Because that's what listen, we got Prop 50. Prop 50 is because Prop 50 would not have been on the ballot if Texas hadn't redistricted. That is a complete, and it's a complete turn on that. And then when you look at the counties of how that turned, compare that to 2024. Again, there's a big sweep. The other difference that we might actually start seeing, and which would be better for the country, is if people start caring about the midterms equally to what they care about the presidential. Because I think we're seeing voter suppression because of the Electoral College on the big presidential years. Because what do we hear? My vote doesn't matter. I live in New York. My vote doesn't matter. I live in California. My vote doesn't matter. I live in Texas, in Florida, in red state, blue state, red state, blue state. And so it comes down to Pennsylvania rules the world. And I'm here to tell you, I've met Pennsylvania voters. You don't want this. And so the end goal is an actual national election, get rid of the Electoral College, and that way give everyone in America a feeling that they can vote for president. I know it's never going to happen. But that has to
sense.
But you have to set the goal.
That makes too much sense.
You have to set the goal and then work towards it. Right now, they don't have a goal. The Dems don't have the end goal is what? We don't have anything we're speaking towards. At least Mamdani had freeze the rent. He had free busing. There's at least a thing that you can work towards and that people can buy in on.
There are times, unless there is some sort of crazy generational change, where I'm just like, it does feel to a certain degree like America is doomed, because we do have a system that promotes minority rule, where 40% of voters can really control things, and there's no speaking to to, hey, would you give up power? Will you hone, like, look to your inner George Washington and go like, this is probably best for the country and representation, and that's good? Or you want to keep your job and your power? Like, it's because the Dems, like, every time we look at the election, it's like, okay, in the Senate, they might be able to claw something if the fucking sentiment is right at the right time. Otherwise, everything's kind of geared that way. And fucking who knows where the gerrymandering is going to stop. So to Prop 50, I give credit to Newsom and Californians for realizing, hey, like, you can't just fucking do nothing. Like, no one wants to pass this. No one wants, like, Dems aren't like, yes, let's screw over voters. But it's like, this is where we're at.
But the other thing too is speaking to having a new generation of politicians of Democratic politicians especially, who understand what generation of Republicans they're going up against and what generation of Republicans are following this one. I don't think they know now. No, they don't. They have no fucking clue. So many of them are just learning this week who Nick Fuentes is. So many of them are learning just this week that Tucker Carlson also exists and he's not on cable. And somehow he's even stronger. So many of them are learning repeatedly. I mean, they've gotten very used to fighting Mitch McConnell. But Ted Cruz has been running rings around them every now and then, on podcasts and on some of the other bullshit that he's doing in the back end. There's certain areas on that side, and that's part of that has been Dems not releasing leadership, as you're saying, but also a big issue that Democrats have had, which Mamdani cut right through, I think, very hard on this one, which is the idea of it's their turn. We've run into this over and over and over again. One of the big things with the Hillary campaign and a thing that I've heard afterwards, very much more after, not during the campaign, about Kamala, was people felt an inevitability about their candidacy, so there wasn't a buy-in. With Mamdani in particular going against Cuomo, listen, I thought Cuomo was going to win the primary. I was shocked. I thought maybe because it was I keep forgetting the name, how they call the primary, where they have the multiple candidates you can pick.
Ranked choice.
Ranked choice. With ranked choice voting, I thought maybe Mamdani would win round one, right? And then others might coalesce behind Cuomo, but Cuomo didn't run the right type of campaign for that. And then also slowly people realized, and again, with the inevitability, hey, that guy's an asshole and we don't like him. Everyone's like, oh, Cuomo, the guy who murdered my grandma, like that guy is an asshole and we don't like him. And that built momentum. And the fact that Mamdani was able to check off one early, let people buy in more and let people have more faith. And that change in it really had a big major effect on that side. And I will say that actually the one thing I found really interesting, I know we keep talking about Mamdani because he's the biggest one on there, but I think he actually drove a lot of the ticket across the country in a weird way. He got people excited to want to look to what the elections were near them. So much so, I think, what was it, Kentucky? They had to tweet. The Secretary of State of Kentucky was like, hey, we don't have an election. We don't vote in New York. We don't choose America's mayor. Like, I don't know how much of that was real, but it does. I have run into situations where people thought that maybe a certain city might be on their area.
I saw something in passing, and I was just like, I don't know if this is real, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah, no, but it's also one of those things where having met enough median voters out there, I'm sure there were a few people. But I do know people who did look in, especially in New Jersey, who did look closer to Mikey Sherrill's campaign because they saw what was happening over in New York, and they didn't want to end up in a situation where they have a Republican governor in New Jersey, and they see all of their friends under the light of the Democratic Socialists in New York.
You know what I will say? I mean, when we were talking about Republicans and not knowing who they are, or like them not knowing who they're speaking to, one of the wild things is like watching the likes of Vivek. Right, Vivek posts that video. He's like, we've learned some lessons, and it's like we have to be about. I think he might have said affordability, or maybe I'm inserting that word.
He did. No, the first thing he said was affordability, and then I immediately scrolled because I looked at my healthcare costs and said, "Fuck you, buddy."
But then he ends on identity politics, and then you go to the replies, and it's the most racist right wing responses you've ever seen. And I get in this headspace where I'm like, obviously, I don't want to cast a net on everyone, but it's like how do you make peace with going like, okay, my party has probably a larger consolidation of these people that are treating me like this. How like they're the same people like that. There's a lot of reasons to go after JD Vance because his wife is not white, and it's just they do not see it. And to like when you were saying like they're just now learning who Nick Fuentes is. This is why like when I've had people on my podcast in good faith, whether it be politicians or other commentators, I'm like, are you not looking at right-wing media? Like you need to see what's happening. Like there is the reason that the Tucker Carlson interview with Fuentes has over 5 million views. I don't even know what the fuck it's at now. Is not because it's Tucker. It's this. I was like, there's a lot of juice over there, and a lot of it like you don't see it because it's. It'll pop up in clips here and there and people discount clips, but I was like, that hit clips and long form. And I think if you start looking at like 18 to 24-year-olds, especially young Republican men, they're migrating more towards that every day.
Yeah, I mean, but the one thing we did see before the narrative before last night was that it was all 18 to 24-year-old men, not just Republicans. Before last night, the narrative was it was all young men. Trump had captured all these young men. We were seeing the rise of what was being called the alt-right or the Groyper, all these different things. We were seeing that rise and that narrative of the inevitability of that rise happening in the background, right? After last night, they're looking at the numbers and like, oh, shit, we have to actually just speak to young people about their concerns. The number one concern I hear is that they'll never be able to afford a house. They'll never be able to afford a family. They'll never be able to afford health care. We have a belief in this country. This country, the autobiography of Ben Franklin stated that anyone could become rich here if you worked hard enough. We now live in a country where you can work so hard you're still on fucking food stamps. You can work so hard that all you're doing is paying the equity of your landlord's property so he can go buy another fucking boat. We're working hard so that way they can build data centers to replace our jobs. This feeling in there is this morose and malaise and depression. This is where Nazis reign. This is where they speak on forums And the Nazis and the hard right, whatever, the racists, the white supremacists, all these fuckers, they've learned from 4chan. But all the things that they've done on 4chan over the years, that they're now doing on Twitter, that they're now doing on all different forms of social media, they did that back in the day. They just used to do it at rallies. They would always stand around. You'd have a right-wing politician, a Republican politician would be up, or a Democrat in the 60s in the South would be up speaking, and you'd have the Klan walking around the outskirts handing out cards. And you know what happened? That happened in Pennsylvania. That happened in a town called Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. They had a Halloween parade, and the Klan came in and was handing out cards to people. Do you know what happened? The entire town came together. They went to the town council. The town council decried the entire thing and told them all to go fuck off. Because these guys are big boys on the internet. They're big, tall guys on the internet. They ain't shit off of it. And that's been one of the big things is like, again, this is why last night was so important. This is why things like the No Kings protests are so important. This is why leaving the house is so important and going to these things, shaking hands and actually physically touching the shoulder of other people who believe in you. Because inside of that, you get that power back. If you sit here and scroll on Elon and Tim Apple's little psycho box, all you're going to see, listen, Twitter is the most racist. I've been on the internet since it was started. Twitter is now the most racist place I've ever fucking been. There's shit on there, and it's so racist that people don't even see how racist it is anymore. The Department of Homeland Security is straight up printing Nazi memes. They're putting out the enemies, we're knights, and the enemies behind the gates, and you need to come over here and all this different. I'm like, that is straight up a fucking Nazi poster. You just tweaked it a little bit. The shit they're doing, and I don't even know if the lady who's approving that at DHS knows it's that level. Like we're at a level of insidiousness with this. And so when you're talking about Vivek and you're talking about some of these other tokens that are being spent now, Dinesh D'Souza is another one who he's seeing it. That side of it, there's a secondary part we're not even noticing, which is a lot of these psychos that exist on Twitter, they're not even fucking Americans. The anti-Indian hate, a lot of that's coming from Canada. Like it's crazy. It's Canadian right-wingers who are mad, and when you go and you start looking in deeper, it's like, oh, well, they've had more immigration from this area over here, and they just spread it out. It's fucking lunacy, because in reality, all these guys are screaming that they hate globalism and that they hate the idea of open borders, but this is the most globalized open border in the world. It's our phone. And that's what we're staring into every single day and deciding to be scared about whoever could come drive next to us on the road. It's fucking stupid.
Hey, Alex, I think for us to make good on a promise, and I think 4 episodes ago we started definitely not making good on your ill-advised promise that the show was going to be positive. Actually, no, today was the closest to it. Today was actually the closest.
Can I tell you,
think about it.
Can I tell you why?
We went back into the mud. Oh, God.
Can I tell you why? It's because Dick Cheney is still dead. That's why. That's why it's a positive show.
Oh, no.
Dick Cheney's in the dirt, and we're all doing great.
His daughter's not going to tour with us now.
Oh, no. Oh, Liz Cheney, she was in 3 frames of one of my videos during the 2024 election because she did an event with Kamala Harris. She was in 3 frames. I've never gotten the only time, actually, no, it almost equaled the amount of death threats I got for doing a video with AOC. Yeah. I got so many. Listen, they're going to DMs. They go into DMs and I go, okay, whatever. Block.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them are bots.
But we're going to make good on the promise that we're going to answer some questions from the audience to end.
Ooh.
I'm a little nervous because these are the first times I'm seeing them.
Okay.
And the first one, it just goes straight to like, the first one is like, hey, can we alienate Phil from the audience? So what? Thanks for this selection, Ben. Phil, right now you are technically a millionaire. Do you believe you would still have the same political opinions if you were broke? I think so. I think if anything, there's a potential. Once again, you start talking about hypotheticals. I think I might be more left, but I'm probably the most left from people I talk to that are in my tax bracket, I think is the nicest way to say it. It's a lot of like having to explain that because I don't come from money. And I worked for what I have, but I also got it because of, all the like having the ability for some of my student loans to be paid off. I've had the ability because I got free school lunch when I was a kid. So I think that people forget about the social safety nets. A lot of like my opinions on healthcare reform by watching my dad being sick and I'm sick, and thank goodness I have the job that I have and my health insurance and all that. But I think that maybe if I didn't have this I'd be a little more left. But I don't know. I think of myself as center left, but some people would scoff and say I'm more. But I don't know.
I think it depends on
what do you think that I am, Alex? Because you're, I don't know, I don't want to put a label on you, but I think you're more left than me.
I think, well, and then there's a lot of people who actually claim that I'm center left, which is crazy. I mean, like, I view myself as, I grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania. My dad grew up in a DuPont household because that's where they worked. So Biden was always just around. So to me, Biden is like the average politician. And I think like that should be the floor. I think I want more than that typically. I think my heart is more aligned with like an AOC style candidate. My favorite president is FDR. That's how I kind of look at it. And I look at like where I could, where in history and which choices could I make in hindsight, and then try to match that at the same time. And so that's kind of where my side of it is. I think that there's so many content creators who are not political, who when you scratch them a little bit, you're like, oh, you're right wing.
You're a right winger. Yes, absolutely.
There's so many of those. I think the biggest thing is at the end of the day, for when my view with you was just, I was like, Phil is looking at the world around him. That's it. And that's the biggest thing. Is like you actually are looking at the world around and going, oh, why is that happening? And I think that almost inevitably puts most people more on the left, slowly because, especially in America, the idea of truth and reality is a left-wing bias, because now, especially under the Trump administration, but even before under the George W. Bush administration, truthiness, remember that? And the alternative facts. And just saying that like, oh, this is a red cup. No, it's not. That's actually a purple cup because it's it's stupid. And I don't, I think that you are somebody who looks for honesty over anything else.
I think so. Yeah. But I mean, we'll see when the PDS gets down to even lower views. I'm taking that right wing pivot, baby.
Oh, baby. I'm telling you.
25 million I put on the hat.
25 million I put on
Nazi.
the hat. Yeah, no, 25 million I put on the hat. That's where I'm at. I wouldn't go. I've had this conversation before. I wouldn't go immediately for like, oh, we got a $3,000 brand deal. Would you, with you and Nick Fuentes? That's not happening.
This is all jokes.
All right, this question's more my speed, Phil. It says, hey guys, I've noticed Alex referenced WWE and wrestling a couple of times on the show. My question is, do you guys see a correlation between pro wrestling and the current political climate? Phil, do you want to start?
Pro wrestling in the current political. I stopped watching around the once Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't wrestling anymore. So I don't know if I'm the best. I was Attitude Era.
Yeah,
and then I'd play the games now and then.
Early 2000s. Yeah, that was me originally. And then 2015 hit and Roman Reigns got booed in Philadelphia, and I said, "What's this? What's going on?" And then I got super back into it. Okay, I got super back into it. But to answer this person's questions, pro wrestling is American politics, 100%. It is. It's not just that there's a correlation. It 100%. The president of the United States is a WWE Hall of Famer. Let's start there. The Secretary of Education was the COO of WWE. Triple H has given multiple speeches at the White House. What are we talking about? Abraham Lincoln was a pro wrestler. Did you not see last night? Mamdani got up and said, I know President Trump is watching, so I have 4 words for him. Turn the volume up. What? That is SmackDown if I've ever fucking... Yeah, that's SmackDown if I've ever fucking heard it. It's all pro wrestling. It's always been pro wrestling. And the fact that the Dems don't understand this means that they're fucking idiots. It's always been. Most of my videos that do super good, guess what, guys? I'm cutting a wrestling promo. I just can't take a suplex. I got chokeslam once and I got a concussion. I'll never do that again, but I do referee sometimes.
I love this comparison because it makes me think that a lot of the Dems are like cringy baby faces.
Yes,
They're
they're all
like,
white
it's
meat
like-
baby
you're like,
faces. You gotta have edge.
Oh, yeah.
We need in wrestling. It's called a tweener, right? So like the Undertaker when he was American, even though he's so MAGA, he's MAGA as hell. The Undertaker and Kane,
Yes.
they're fucking MAGA as motherfuckers. But those guys are tweeners. So it's like you don't quite know. It's like they're like anti-hero type of thing. Like that's what we need, right? Let's get a leather jacket on Josh Shapiro. You know, like this is the type of thing you need to do. And like they try desperately because so many of these politicians as well, they're bred in vats. And they come from Yale. They haven't been paid in hot dogs like a wrestler. And the other thing about wrestlers, too, is that they don't mind. Wrestlers are all dated references. They all steal from all these different guys. And the thing is, especially, though, is the reason why I know Mamdani especially is very wrestling coded. There is a video of Zohran Mamdani at AEW Grand Slam in New York, which is a big major show that they have. He's in the nosebleeds when CM Punk comes out, and he's out there cheering during one of the greatest matches of all time, which is Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. It's an incredible match. I think it's up on AEW's YouTube. But just know, as you're watching that, the mayor-elect of New York is losing his mind in the fucking nosebleeds. And so, yeah, all politics is wrestling. God, that's my answer.
I love that. It makes me think back, though, to 2016, how fucking stupid we were. The connection is there, but there was like a decent number of people that were like, maybe Trump just tricked the Republicans. Maybe he's a secret Democrat. His heel turn for the Republicans. No.
No, everything is wrestling. Everything is wrestling narratives, right? Like, look, everybody's doing that with Marjorie Taylor Greene right now. Everybody's like, what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene? It's like, okay, yeah, you guys are analyzing Marjorie Taylor Greene like she's Big Show in 2014, where even he didn't know if he was a heel or a face. Okay. John Fetterman, there's no script behind that. That's just a man with brain damage walking around. But can he put somebody through a table? I don't know. I would love to watch that. He would do less damage.
I think that's the perfect note to go out on. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening to Crashing Out. If you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, give us a like, give us a follow. And on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe.
And remember, guys, if you're feeling down, just remember right now, Dick Cheney's still dead. Dick Cheney is still dead. Every day. Crashing Out, wherever you listen or watch podcasts.